Hi everyone, VortexTCG here, and today I'm going to be doing a discussion video on something that has been announced just a moment ago, and that is the ban list. Yep, Digimon is getting a brand new ban list, and it's going to be coming out, I believe, October 17th, so I'll be doing a live reaction then. But also, there is a they've also announced when the list goes live, which is going to be November 17th. And there's quite a few interesting things to go on with this post. If you look at the post, it says that, there are banned, unrestricted, or restricted and unrestricted cards. I don't think in previous posts they've mentioned unrestricted cards. Usually it's just cards coming onto the list, but it kind of hints at the fact that there are going to be some cards that are coming off the list. So in this video, I'm going to be discussing the things that I could see potentially coming off the list, and then stuff that I kind of expect to see to come onto the list. I'm going to be dividing those into different categories. So stuff that I expect, something that I'll be surprised at, and something that is kind of like a little bit spicy, something that you don't really expect but can kind of see happening. So if you're looking forward to this ban list discussion video, please do like and subscribe to the channel. It really does mean a lot. And let's get into the discussion, talking about the unrestricted card first. So if I'm being perfectly honest, when I look at this list, I feel like most of these cards should stay on the ban list. I look at cards that people are suggesting like Eismon, and I go, there's no way that this card can be legal in any format because it just becomes a free level 4. It's insane. So I look at all of these cards and I think they're all broken for different reasons. I see people talking about Jet Sylphimon, don't really need it. Too strong in my opinion, and control's already seen a lot of play. There's stuff like, the green stuff where it's like that can't be taken off the list because then green becomes one of the better decks in the format in my opinion. And so there was only one card that I came to the conclusion that I could potentially see coming off the ban list, and that is the Savior Huckmon from BT6. And that's a bit weird for me to say because it is a very powerful card, and it was a very powerful card back in BT6. It was the only Savior Huckmon that people had access to, so people play it obviously, and BT6 was dominated by Jesmon. But if we look at formats now, and for the past couple of years, Jesmon hasn't really seen much representation at all. I think the only last time it got like decent amount of play was, I believe, in BT10, where they got access to Jesmon GX and a bunch of stuff. But nowadays, even with the new stuff from BT13, it isn't showing any play. It's basically like an OTK that is very easy to get out of, essentially. So for that reason, I do think that if there was one card that I could see coming off the ban list, it would be the Savior Huckmon from BT6. If it does come off, a bit worried because a lot of the newer stuff from BT13 focuses on playing out Systemons to Digivolve for cheaper, and part of me is going like, or if you get 4 of this card that allows you to play a Systemon for free, it'll be broken. But I think at the same time, the deck already has a lot of ways to play out Systemons for free. In fact, you'd rather do the Systemon on play effect when you're attacking, so you can go into your big swing turns for Jesmon GX. So overall, I think Savior Huckmon from BT6 would be the hit that I expect to come off the ban list, if there was one to come off the ban list. Now let's talk about 2 cards that I expect to be hit coming into the next ban list. So I think the first card is a bit of an obvious one, and I think with Ultimate Cup going the way it has and the trajectory of this deck, I think it is kind of something that's going to happen either way at this point. And in my opinion, I think it's going to be the BT12 Marcus Damon that gets hit to 1. I would not like to see this card get hit, if I'm being perfectly honest, because if you look at all the tournament results that have been going on, I mean, it's safe to say that Shine Greymon has kind of fallen off quite a little bit, if I'm being honest, because it essentially just, if you get all the pieces, it works, but if you don't, it becomes a bit of a brick fest. And the way that BT12 Marcus Damon helps the deck, it's something that only helps within that deck alone most of the time, but it does a lot of stuff for the deck. It acts as a swing, it acts as a free Digivolve, and then it acts as a security bomb when you're able to put it back to your security from your Rise Greymon effect. So yeah, I mean, it definitely is a very strong card. And is it something that I expect to get more powerful in BT14? I think it's still going to stay around in BT14, so I think for that reason I expect the Marcus Damon to get a hit to 1. There's also another hit that I kind of expect to happen, especially with the introductory to the new training memory boost thing, and that is something from Mirage Gal, and I think they're actually going to hit the Mirage Gal burst mode. I look at a lot of the cards in this, I guess, set of cards, and I look at them and I think that none of them are the game-breaking piece, but I think the game-breaking piece is going to be the the Mirage Gal burst mode, because essentially allows you to go for loads of swings, going up to like 3 or 4, essentially OTKing your opponent, and the deck becomes a lot stronger with the training promos. So I think they're going to take away from their top end a little bit, just to make sure that they're, that they're less powerful for that reason. So if you're to go into a Mirage Gal, for example, it would cost less because you'll gain the memory, and then you'll also reduce the memory from the Digivolve from the training promos as well. So I think they're going to look at the top end of the deck and hit the burst mode. Do I want this to happen? Quite frankly, no, but looking at Japanese results for this deck, and it's become quite clear that this is a very, very strong deck, especially with the introductory of the training promos. So I think Bandai is going to hit this deck in some way. I don't want it to happen, but I think it will probably end up being the Mirage Galgamon burst mode. So I'm going to go into hits that I'd be kind of surprised at if they were to come onto this list. And the first card that I'm going to talk about is something that's not out here yet in the English territories, but is currently allowed in Japan. And I think this set of cards is going to receive a hit preemptively, just to make sure that it doesn't affect our meta as much. And it's going to be something from the Gabumon line. So I've decided to figure, I don't know which one for sure, but I think it's either going to be the Gabu X antibody or the Garurumon X antibody. These cards just do way too much. When I look at these cards, I think for a lot of people, they look at it and go, wow, this is some really good support for Metal Garuru. But now that the cards have come out, we are seeing this in pretty much any purple deck, because the discard is very strong, the draw power you get is very strong, and overall it is a very strong set of cards that are being generically played in a lot of purple decks. And for a lot of the bans that have happened in the Digimon card game, Bandai really don't like these generic cards. You see it with stuff like the green stuffs like Blossom, Argo, Hidden Potential Discovered. They're all hit because they essentially limit design space for future cards. And I think the Gabu and the Garuru stuff from EX5 is also going to be limiting Purple's design space as well. So we're seeing it being played with, like, I believe, Anubismon. We're also seeing it being played with Beelstarmon. So I think these set of cards are very, very strong. It's kind of crazy because when we all saw the Metal Guru X antibody, we were like, this is going to be the broken card. But it turns out the level 3, level 4, and level 5 to a lesser extent is the broken one of the bunch. So I think for future hits, I think it will definitely be the Gabu or the Garurumon getting hit. Just won't be active until we hit EX5. I also think in a surprising move, we might see Analog Youth from EX1 get hit. This might seem like a really weird choice, especially as we've seen other tamers in this memory slot stay around for a lot longer and be a lot more powerful. But I think Analog Youth is something that they are definitely going to consider banning or restricting to 1. And the reason being is because while it's not powerful now, we're seeing it be played as a 4 in a lot of decks going into EX5 and BT15. Most notably, decks like Deva and Apocalymon or Dark Masters are playing 4 of it because it essentially does a lot of things for the deck. Not only is it a memory gainer when a guy dies, but it also allows you to add a card essentially because it's just a generic Digimon card, and also trash a bunch of cards as well. And for that reason, it is very, very strong. Once the game like developed more from EX1, where like having loads of stuff in trash is a big thing, it was always going to be a problematic card because it essentially says trash 2 cards, add 1, and then those 2 cards are part of your combo essentially. So I think EX1 Analog Youth, I'll be surprised if it gets hit right now, but I wouldn't be shocked either, if I'm being perfectly honest. So I expect Analog Youth to get hit, probably 2-1. Now we're in like the spicy, the things that I think are a little bit crazy territory. And the first card that I'm actually going to say is Beelstarmon, the secret rare from BT6. And this might be a very odd shout, but essentially what is happening in the Japanese meta is that Beelstarmon is a menace. It is being used in stack decks that use the Garurumon stuff and is generically very, very good. Essentially it becomes a free body that plays a 7 cost option, which tends to delete a bunch of guys or play out a bunch of guys. So when I look at that card, it has a lot going for it, and there's sometimes been like points where I think Bandai have tried to hit a card for the future, but also think about the other cards that are impacting a certain amount of cards. So for example, the Gabu/Garurumon stuff, I think Bandai might look at it and be like, hey, we don't want to hit these cards because these interactions are not supposed to be what is happening for Beelstar. It's supposed to be for Metal Garuru. So part of me thinks that they might go a different route and ban the Beelstarmon to have, because of having the interaction with the Garurumon stuff, you know? So do I expect that to happen? No, I do think that they're probably going to hit the Gabu/Garurumon stuff when it does arrive. But if they were to switch the roles, I could definitely see them hitting the Beelstarmon, especially as like this card isn't seen play outside of this strategy essentially. So they could just deem it as the problematic card over the, for example, Gabu/Garurumon stuff. So it'll be very interesting to see if it does get a mention or something like that. But I think as a surprise hit, a shocker, I think it would definitely potentially could be on the list. The final pick that I want to mention is going to be the Geogreymon from BT13, and this card is, while not like a crazy card in itself, we've seen Bandai to focus on cards that are generically good, and Geogreymon is definitely a generically good card. It essentially just means Digivolve for free and then get to play a Tamer from your security and then recover +1. For a lot of yellow and red decks at the moment, they're not playing this card, but I could definitely see a situation where people will start playing this card just as a generic level 4 that they can get their Tamers for, because there are points in this game where the Tamer is very important to a strategy. So for example, Red Hybrid, obviously it wouldn't work in Red Hybrid, but just as an example, those decks need to find their Tamers, and Geogreymon will help them find their Tamers. So I feel like it probably will not happen, but I wouldn't, like, it's definitely a surprise if it was to get hit in this upcoming ban list. Anyways, that has been my discussion on the ban list. Got 2 things that I expect, 2 things that I'll be surprised at, and 2 things that are a little bit spicy, something that I wouldn't really expect at all. Let me know what you guys think about my points and discussion about certain cards. I definitely do think some of them can be on the ban list, but let me know what you expect to see on the ban list in the comment section down below. Thank you all for watching, and I'll see you all in the next video, and I'll be back with the ban list reaction video, I guess, on the 17th.